Meet Chap.C, our fearless adventurer, diving headfirst into the wild world of game development. Chap.C's not a total beginner. He made some Flash games 15 years ago and has already dipped his toes into the Godot engine and Blender. Impressive, right? Now, he's just a few quick and easy online tutorials away from launching his epic game. Simple, huh?
A group of vertices that will deform with it. This is being handled by vertex groups, which have been automatically generated by Blender based on the placement of the bones relative to the mesh.
The application of Bayer's law, which deals with the attenuation of light for the properties of the material through which the light is traveling, in this case water. Your Bayer's law and depth.
In other words, I am better than you. You will never achieve the skills I am demonstrating in this video, you clueless, old, trout-nosed, dumb piece of...
Yes, I kind of went through a existential crisis the last couple of days. I completely burnt myself out and overwhelmed myself with information about Blender, Godot, and all things that you need to learn if you want to become a game developer. But fortunately, I made some big decisions to make it fun again and to get back on track on this adventure. And I figured, let's make a devlog video, not only showing you the progress that I made on the game, but also to help out some fellow game developers that might be struggling with the same thing. Without further ado, let's go. Let's start with the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yes, this channel is all about smart words for smart people. It's a smart channel. When you first start out, there's a big chance you'll experience something similar to what I experienced the last couple of days. The more you learn, the more confident you get. At this point, you basically feel like Leo, as the king of the game development world. But just like the Titanic, that confidence can sink pretty fast once you learn about all the things you don't know. Up to this point, I've been making 3D models and doing small tests in the Godot engine, and while I thought I was doing great, things just didn't look or work the way I wanted. I realized that I'm basically a few lifetimes short of the knowledge that I need to be as good as I want myself to be. Because make no mistake, if you're going to develop games, you are learning multiple careers that normal people normally just achieve one of. Yes, we all know that we are not normal people. Game developers. Nope. You are basically learning about coding, game design, character design, storytelling, animating, texturing, rigging, shaders, materials, normals, camera. Yeah, it was quite depressing. It also didn't help that at some point I realized that in my lifetime from being born without any game development career, I'm already, somewhat like... Let's keep it positive. This is a motivational video. So what's the solution, you might ask? You need to step away from your ego and make a scope as small as possible without taking the joy and passion out of it. How much you narrow down that scope depends on your own situation. For me, I had to come to the painful conclusion that I was no longer going to make cool 3D models with bone structures, armatures, and advanced animations. The Blender part was really holding me back from spending time on actually making a game. I was losing myself in Blender before even getting any work done in the game engine Godot. Or Godot. Or Godot. Kodzinski. I have no idea how you pronounce that, man. Godot? Godot. And even though I already created a 3D model of Aiden that looks way better than the first one, I still decided to drop it altogether. I decided to go back to the basics and make my very first game the way they were once made. A long time ago. Yes, a 16-bit version of Aiden Jr. So instead of going all over the place, I decided to follow one of the best tutorials on YouTube where you get to make your own game in roughly an hour from start to finish. I will put the link in the description below. It's actually one of the best tutorials out there. The great thing about this video is that you achieve so much because Brecky, the creator of the video, forces you not to bring all the extras to the table. It's a simple game with a retro tile set and a movable character. He even provides all the assets that you can use for the tutorial. Obviously, being me, I couldn't help myself spend way too much time on my very first sprite design. But I had so much fun doing so because it's less knowledge heavy than the previous scope with all the 3D work. Sure, pixel art is difficult, very difficult even if you want to perfect it. However, with my past experience in hand-drawn art, of my previous game 15 years ago, it was way more manageable than suddenly having to master modeling, rigging, texturing, and animation. Yeah, you really have to keep your first prototype as small as possible. Find a tutorial that fits your game and just start developing. And for me, picking the pixel art really made the scope smaller and therefore this whole project doable. But it could be a different art style for you. It all depends on your own personal skill set. Simplifying the scope and the art style also applies to other game genres. I had an interesting conversation with Michael from our Discord, who found himself in a similar situation. He is working on a first-person shooter and ended up spending way too much time on figuring out how to create artwork and other design challenges. Eventually, he decided to start with the simplest art style possible, and he was very happy with that decision. We found an older devlog about a different game based on a way different engine, but it just looked cool and so simplistic. It almost has no graphics at all, but in a charming way, I think it looks gorgeous. So first, set your mind on completing smaller prototypes from start to finish. They don't have to be your dream game yet. You'll make that one later. Just make games, no matter how good they are. So after creating my first 16-bit prototype, mostly based on the assets of Brackeys, I felt way more confident in taking it to the next level. This time around, it wasn't due to overconfidence, but actual experience. I was able to easily convert my 2D game into a 3D game, and I experimented with the 2.5D multi-directional movement system that I mentioned in my previous devlog. I was actually so proud when I made this thing work, especially the camera that has a slight delay as it follows the playable character. And even though I'm learning so many things every day, I feel like I'm right here on the Dunning-Kruger graph. And I know I've got a long way to go, but at least I know where I'm heading. And you might ask yourself, like, great video, Chap, but you barely made a game yourself. What makes you qualified to make a motivational video like this? And to you, I would say, screw you. Yeah, you're completely right. Yeah, by no means I want to pretend that I've made it. Like I said, I haven't even finished the game yet. The road ahead is going to be difficult. But by creating different small prototypes that didn't have to look good, I've at least grown the confidence that I'm up for the task, even in this lifetime. Regarding my game, because it's also still a devlog, I feel like I found a sweet spot based on my skill set. It's not going to be a fully retro 2D game. Since I've already made one 15 years ago, I feel like I can do slightly better. My final tip is to take healthy breaks without pausing your game's development. Switch it up by writing down the lore or the story of your game. Or in my case, make some drafts and sketches in, for example, Photoshop. Just make sure to have fun during this process, because I really think that's the main ingredient of creating a successful game. And while this sketch doesn't look like a quick draft at all, it actually is. Most of the assets are stolen, except for the character model, and you can kind of tell, it's not like as detailed and professional. The good thing about having a mock-up like this is that it makes it way easier to work towards a certain goal and to test out things without having to fully program your game just yet. And while I'm not 100% sure that this is the art style that I'm sticking with, I do think that I'm on the right track. It has this Paper Mario vibe to it. A simple 3D world with very basic 2D sprites in it. It's almost like those classic viewing boxes that you made when you were a child. Or at least that's something we do in the Netherlands. It's basically like a shoebox and you look through it and there's a whole universe in it. It's very cool. I now feel like once again restarting the Gadot project and work on the actual game without graphics. My next steps will be figuring out the 3D tile set with basic shapes and the classic pill-shaped character model that allows me to get all the basics right. Basically a solid foundation to build upon. So be prepared to see way less appealing devlogs in the future, because things are about to get quite boring. Yeah, best sales pitch ever. And if you made it this far in the video, consider supporting the channel by just simply leaving a like, say something nice in the comment section. It's been a long recording. Also, if you want to take it a little step further, you can consider becoming a member. By doing so, you can also get involved with the storytelling of the game by participating in the private text channel on our Discord, or by simply replying on those private members only videos. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I see you guys around in the next devlog. Bye bye.